Hello, everyone. This is Josh again. I was gonna wait till I got my new glasses, and I got them today, so I'm gonna make part 2 of my story. I don't know how far I'll get, but let's see. I'm in New Hampshire, right? Well, I've remembered parts of my story that I haven't told. And so I'm gonna tell it because I forgot it. But remember that when I was in New York, I had my first job for like 3 months, I think. Well, it was my only job, actually. Let me see. Yeah, well, I've done some work with I've done some work, but it was volunteer, so I don't know. I told somebody that, and they said it was still a job, even if I didn't get paid for it. It was still a job. So I guess I'll tell you about things I did do that I didn't get paid for. But I remember the first check I got, I was so excited because I was like, this is my money, I worked for it, and I was so excited. It made me feel like so good. And I remember a couple times that happened when I got paid, and I would do stuff, and I'd buy donuts for my class, and I'd break. Sometimes I would buy candy bars for all the teachers. And I remember, it was so much fun. I don't know if I told you a lot about New York, but I remember I had some real good times there. But now I'm in New Hampshire. I keep forgetting to look at the camera. I was looking at everything else. Anyway, I'm in New Hampshire. Remember, everybody thinks I have cerebral palsy, right? Because I've had some problems, but they're like minor, I guess. I don't know. I can't work because I don't know. I just can't. I mean, I'm not very good with stuff. My brain doesn't work very well. So, when I turned 20, my parents took me down and they got me signed up for SSI, which I thought was really cool. 'Cause it gave me some money. So I went out and I opened an account with a mutual investment company. I mean, we call mutual stocks or mutual funds. Stock mutual funds, and so I was thinking, and I was gonna put money away each month from what I got, and immediately Social Security informed me that I wasn't allowed to do that, and I was kind of upset. And my grandpa was upset because it was kind of, well, anyway, when you're on Social Security or whatever, they don't want you to do anything to get off. So, let's see. Stupid dogs. Old and quiet. And, oh, anyway, and so that was all. That in New Hampshire, that was basically the first time I fell in love. It was a family friend, and well, actually, her whole family, they lived in New Hampshire, and we used to see them all the time. We went around and visited different churches and stuff when we came back to New Hampshire, because we used to do that every once in a while, see my mom's parents. We'd run into them, and we'd often do stuff with them. And, our families were like really close. But then, when I was 22, I started to see their daughter in a different light. And I realized she was really pretty, but it's the only thing I really thought about, I guess. She liked my best friend, and he had just won Mr. New Hampshire for being the strongest man in New Hampshire. He deadlifted 600 pounds twice, and so, of course, she likes him. And, I didn't take rejection that well. So I was real upset. And then a couple weeks after that happened, what happened is, I used to call her on Wednesday nights, and finally, after 6 months of thinking about her all the time, I asked my dad if I could ask her out. And so one Wednesday night after I got home, I think when I called, I asked her and she said yes. And I think she just said yes because she didn't want to hurt my feelings. But then she had her dad make excuses why we couldn't go out, and so 3 days before we were supposed to go out, he called and said we couldn't, and so that made me really upset. And I was upset about that for like a long time, for like years actually. I mean, I used to think about her for like years. And then a couple weeks after that, my mom passed, and for 2 weeks I didn't know how I was gonna survive. I was like crying all the time. I was so upset. And I think the only way I did survive is because my dad, I think he said friends were asking how they could help, and he said just pray. And I think that's what got me through, was people praying for me. I wish it would have helped the rest of my family, but that's another story. And so a little while after that happened, let's see, someone came, my dad went somewhere, and he met a pastor from Tennessee, and he went down and visited the church and stuff down there, and then he took us, the rest of his family, me and my brother and my 2 sisters, and he took us down to Tennessee to visit the church and everything. And then we came back to New Hampshire and we got our stuff and we moved down to Tennessee. And it was really nice. The weather was nice down there. There weren't a lot of bugs where we were at. You could go outside and sit on the front porch and read at 11 o'clock at night because there weren't any bugs. And it was really nice. we were about probably a quarter of a mile from the church, and my dad was the principal, and he was also a teacher, and later they made him the accountant, and so he was like at the church like all the time. He'd come home and he'd put the kids to bed, and then he would go back to church. And it was like at home all the time. Not gonna help to shut the door because they're just gonna open it again. But let me see. Oh yeah. So we moved to Tennessee, and so I was at home all the time, and I was playing on my computer, and I was having a lot of fun. And I think my friend he invited me to go on visitation, go soul winning on Tuesday night, because that's what they did on Tuesday. They went soul winning. And so I went with them. Here they come again. I went with them, and I really enjoyed it. And I went a couple times with some other people, and I really enjoyed it. And I figured out, telling people about Jesus was more fun than playing on my computer. So I decided to do it more. So I did it a couple times a week. I mean, if I didn't have somebody to go swimming with, I went by myself. And I really enjoyed it. And for a while, I went soul winning, and I was went with a friend of mine on Saturday. He went on bus visitation, and I went with him, and I was in the choir, and I was really happy because it was like I had my own ministry, and it wasn't under my parents anymore. It was mine, because every village, everything was under my parents, and I lived under my parents. But now I was 22, and so, for a while, that happened, and I was real excited about that. And I remember a couple times we went up to Nashville, and we were witnessing to the kids, which is really fun. I mean, because kids are so open to what you tell them, and they want to hear the truth so bad. And not like adults. And so witnessing to the children was really fun. And so that we did that a bunch. and we had a lot of fun. Remember, we had a camp, and we invited a bunch of kids from they came down from Nashville, and we had a camp and stuff, and a bunch of them got saved, and we had a lot of fun. But I remember it started when one day I remember we were coming back from we were coming back from Nashville. We had been sewing, and I remember I was coming out of McDonald's, and I was coming out of McDonald's with a hamburger to eat. We were gonna get on the bus. We could go back to church, so we could get ready, so our parents could come pick us up, so we could go home and get ready for church. And I came out of McDonald's, and I noticed my right hand was shaking, and it had never done that before. And I don't remember what happened exactly, but over the next couple of days, my dad, he talks about it. He's like, my health fell off a cliff. It was, I went from walking a quarter of a mile, to the church, like I used to do, even sometimes riding my bike, to all of a sudden, I couldn't walk across my room. And the problem was my balance just fell away, and it wasn't like there, and it just got worse and worse. And so I tried to walk, and I would fall over because I didn't have any balance. And it happened, and I remember a couple times I didn't go to church because that happened, and suddenly I was in a wheelchair because I couldn't walk. And my friend took me to sewing, and he had basically drag me because I couldn't walk on my own, and people were staring at me, and he was like, take a picture, it will last longer, He used to joke about things like that. We had a lot of fun. But, this was I didn't understand, and I was so upset, And remember one night, my dad was gonna go somewhere, and he's like, "No, I think I need to stay home with my son." And I was so upset, and I didn't understand what was going on. And they took me to the doctor, and I had an EEG, and they did a couple other tests, and I can remember everything that happened. And something they said, this is not cerebral palsy. This is not how cerebral palsy works. It doesn't get worse like this. And I remember finally my dad, he was like, I can't do this. I can't work at church like this all the time, and my kids are at home. I need to be there to take care of him, and so I can't do this. So we decided to move to Indiana, but in the whole time I was getting worse. I mean, we moved to Indiana, and we got a house, and put the kids in school, and he got a job teaching at a private school in Chicago. But he was sort of happy because he was home at night, to be with his family and stuff. But I remember eventually he had to get a full-time nurse, home health agency that would come and be with me while he was gone. Let's see, that was about 8 hours a day, because he was afraid to leave me alone. And this whole time I was getting worse. And we lived in Indiana for 14 years. And at first he would help me, I would he would drag me, I'd pull on his arm. But then finally, I was in a wheelchair, and I remember going to church, and my class was on the 4th floor of one of the buildings we bought. First Baptist bought a whole bunch of buildings. We owned basically the block. We tore down all the old buildings, and when we built our new auditorium, seated 7,500 people. So it was a big church. And I remember they each there would those two guys, one would get on each side of me and they'd lift me up and they'd carry me up to the top, up to my classroom, and somebody I think would be behind, and they'd bring my scooter up the stairs, and and I remember that happened for a while, and then eventually I just stopped going because it was so hard, and like I said, I just kept getting like sicker, and I mean it was weird because as far as my health was like really good. I didn't get sick. Like like my immune system was like really good, but so I didn't get like colds and stuff. But as far as my health, I couldn't walk anymore. I remember I did, and I fell, and my face hurt like a lot, and I thought it was okay, but I got up, I got back up. This was a long time before I was in the wheelchair. I remember I got up and I looked in the mirror because my closet, that's what it was. The doors were mirrors. And the whole right side of my face was all red from blood. And so I called the school and I told them it was an emergency. I needed to talk to my sister. I had just fallen, and I told her I fell and I cut myself, and I needed her to come find out what was wrong, and if and stitch me up or whatever. And it was one thing after another, and was, I don't know, in one sense, it was really bad. And I got really down. But I have to tell you more about it in the next video. This is part 2. And so I guess there'll have to be a part 3. So I'll see you later.